Hello and welcome back to r/entitled parents. And if you're new here, I hope you enjoy.
Entitled mother demands I give her kid my Tide Pods to play with. Hey everyone, long time lurker. I never thought I'd actually run into an entitled parent, but I did, and boy, do I have a doozy for you. I do my laundry weekly at the exact same laundromat I have for the last year, on the exact same day of the week at the exact same time. Nothing has happened before, that is, until today. I get into the building and I notice a mother, which is entitled mother, and her kid, probably no older than 5 or 6, just running around without a care. I found an open wash and I tossed my clothes inside, grabbed my bag of Tide Pods and tossed some in. That's when entitled kid notices what I have and comes up to me. Entitled kid: what are those? Me: they're Tide Pods, they clean my clothes. Entitled kid: no they don't, mummy has a big bottle of soap. Me: these are soap too, but they don't make a mess. Entitled kid: oh, okay. The kid runs off to his entitled mother and I assume he is telling her all about the Tide Pods. I notice, out of the corner of my eye, entitled mother gestures towards me and says something to entitled kid. So a few moments later, the entitled kid is back, but doesn't say anything to me. I take out my earbud and I ask, what's up? The entitled kid just stares at me and then stares at the bag of pods. I then hear his entitled mother yell from across the room, well, did you get your toy? I was confused, but the entitled kid just turns tail and runs off back to entitled mother. I can see that she is telling entitled kid something, and a few moments later, he's back. Entitled kid: can I have some of those? Me: no, they aren't for kids to mess with. Entitled kid: but mummy said I can play with some of them. Me: no you can't, they're not toys and they aren't yours. Entitled kid: but mummy said you have to give me some. Me: I don't care what your mother has said, they aren't yours and they're not toys. I admit I started to get heated and my tone of voice started to get more stern. That's when I hear it, the inevitable rumble of an entitled mother. This is the super fun conversation that follows. Entitled mother: excuse me, don't you dare yell at my son. Me: I didn't yell at him, ma'am, I was just... She cuts me off. Entitled mother: don't you lie to me. I heard the whole thing and you yelled at my baby. Whatever you say, lady. I stopped being polite at this point. Entitled kid: mummy, he won't give me the toy. Kid: these aren't your toys. She cuts me off again. Give him the toys. Now, you're too old to be playing with toys. I'm a 30-year-old man. He deserves them for being such a good boy today. Me: lady, these are not toys, they are Tide Pods. Entitled mother: I don't care what they are, my baby wants to play with them, and you have to give them to him. Me: no I don't. Entitled mother looks like she's about to turn into a cartoon with steam whistling out of her ears. So I decided to put my music back on and ignore her. I could hear her very faint yelling over my music, but I just ignored her and she walked away with her wailing child. Now, here's where this gets funny, kind of alarming. About half an hour later, I notice that my clothes are done drying and I go over to grab my wonderfully warm clothes from the dryer. That's when I glanced up and noticed entitled kid wasn't with entitled mother. I figured he was harassing someone else and didn't think much of it. As I'm folding laundry, I glance up again, and there it was. Entitled kid had my bag of Tide Pods next to his entitled mother and is playing with them. And he's being super aggressive with them, clenching them hard, pulling them from both ends, stomping on them and throwing them around. His entitled mother is sitting there smiling while watching her entitled kid play with a toxic ball of liquid. I immediately walk over and snatch the bag from entitled mother and entitled kid and tell her, what the heck, lady? You let your entitled kid steal from me and play with something that is toxic? Entitled mother: he's fine, it's not like you need them all to yourself. Stop being so selfish. Me: look lady, I should call the cops and tell them that your kid is running around stealing from people while you let him, and that you're letting him play with toxic things as if they're toys. Entitled mother: you wouldn't dare, he's just a kid, he didn't do anything wrong. And that's when it happened. Her entitled kid had jumped onto a Tide Pod and let it burst. As the entitled kid slipped, he hit his head. He was fine, by the way. This kid started screaming as loud as he could. Entitled mother: look what you did. You hurt my baby. I'm calling the police. Me: a little startled and trying not to laugh out of nervousness for the kid's head hitting the floor. Lady, you can call whoever you want. Your kid did this to himself. Entitled mother just picked up her now snot and soap covered crying kid and left, still screaming about police and how I hurt her kid. I just went back to folding my clothes and left. Police never came while I was there, but entitled mother left her clothes in the washer and I don't know if she came back for them. Next week, I'm going to a different laundromat in another town. On to our next story. Entitled mother wants me to drop a student to tutor her son. It's been a while since I've posted, because working from home and being an online tutor has limited my contact with entitled parents. However, one has made it through the trenches to come and bother me. As I said, I tutor online. Pandemic, yay! So it's actually easier for me to have back-to-back students. However, due to the number of students and the after-school time slots, I have limited the number of spaces and therefore the students. In the UK, we just finished mock exams for the year 11s. They're 15 to 16 years old. And as predicted, due to the missed school, a lot of them didn't do so well. So I've had calls from concerned parents about helping their kids. I tell them all that I'm currently fully booked and may be adding in more sessions from January 2021, so I'll put them on the waiting list. 99% of parents appreciate this, and they know that they came to me too late. Except one. She demanded that I find a slot for her son who is failing his English. She reasoned that because she knows my family, she should be higher on the waiting list. She actually said she knew my parents, as if I'm not in my 30s and running my own business. She said that I should drop one of my other students for her son. She said I have international students and they are obviously not as important as her son since he needs to do his GCSEs. So do they actually, just international ones. It was 15 minutes on the phone of ranting. She tried to guilt trip me and wouldn't let me talk. Finally, once she had worn herself out, I told her that as she couldn't respect me as a professional, we wouldn't be able to work together and I wish her all the best in the future. She is now blocked and apparently telling other parents that I refuse to help Somali kids because I'm an outsider, even though I'm Somali too, and the whole conversation was in Somali. And to think she claimed to know my family. Entitled parent claims I'm stealing. This happened yesterday when I was out shopping with my friends. Backstory: I have dry eyes, so I regularly have to put drops in my eyes. They're prescribed to me by the eye doctor. I have also changed names because of privacy. We went out around 1 PM and went to an outlet. We went into a pharmacy and my alarm on my phone went off to alert me to put my eye drops in. So I took it out of my bag, spurted it in my eye and put it back in my bag. Then I saw an entitled parent look up at me, but I dismissed it. Then me and my friends start looking around for nice masks because we need to be stylish, you know? A few minutes later, entitled parent comes over and says, "I saw you put it in your bag. That's stealing." Then I reply, "What? I haven't put anything in my bag." I forgot about me putting my eye drops in, as it's such a common thing for me now, I often forget about it. "Yes, you did. Me and my son saw you." Entitled kid then nods. My friend George then came over and he said, "Hey, what's going on?" Entitled parent replies, "She's stealing." George looks at me and then replies to entitled parent, "Are you crazy? My friend would never steal." She won't even ask to go to the bathroom. She's way too shy. Entitled parent looked at him and raised her eyebrows. Well, you obviously don't know your friend very well, do you? She said loudly, which caught the attention of my friend Lucy, who came over and said, Are you guys okay? Entitled kid then shouts, That girl was stealing, which catches the attention of the people behind the till who work there, and they come over. What seems to be the problem? Said the manager. I then speak up and say, This lady says I'm stealing. Manager then replies, Mind if I look in your bag? I nod and hand over my shoulder bag for him to look in. After a few seconds, he says, Well, there's nothing in your bag. And then he turned to entitled parent and said, I'm going to ask you to leave the store as you're disturbing other customers. Entitled parent starts throwing a tantrum even though she's a grown woman and it's not a permanent ban from the pharmacy. We ended up having to go home without buying masks as she wasted so much of her time that we had to go to a meal we had planned later that evening. Hope you enjoyed reading one of my bad experiences with entitled parents and entitled kids. Please recommend ways to format these events, as I have so many more and I don't want to give people migraines. Let me know in the comments if you want to read more of the things that have happened with me and entitled parents.